I should just make that face at the camera all day. You know, like Jim? Because apparently that's how you get America to love you. I'm sorry, I've been watching too much Office. What is up, guys? Welcome back to the second installment of Room for Improvement. Damn it, Cheryl, this is a water bottle! If you haven't seen the first episode, which I'd highly recommend, I've linked it down in the comments. It's all about dream sequences. So what am I doing in this video? I'm going to be going back through my old writing and laughing my ass off at it. For real though, I've picked out the 5 biggest issues with my old manuscripts, and I'm going to be discussing them here. What I did wrong, what I'm doing to fix it, and what I still need to improve on. And if you have issues with the same things, tell me down below, and we can be buddies and we can help each other improve. Throughout this series, we're going to be going through 2 of my old stories. The first one is called Above Los Angeles, and it is still on Wattpad if you'd like to read it, but just keep in mind I wrote it in 9th grade, so it's utter garbage. The second one is a book called Mortals that I wrote in junior year of high school, and it is unpublished and unfinished, and no one's ever read it before. But we're not discussing that one today. We're going to be exclusively talking about the first one, Above Los Angeles. It was about a girl who could fly that found out there were other people that could fly, and she ended up being taken to a whole city of people that could fly, and then that city got in a war with another city full of snake people. I don't know. So I've selected 3 passages from 3 places in the book where I feel like the writing gets way too dramatic, to the point that it's melodramatic and hysterical. So here we go. So in this part, she's already been attacked by the snake people several times, and she's seen them again and realizes that they're gonna attack again because, of course, dumbass, they want to murder you. They're not gonna stop attacking you. So anyway, she's been at this camp for a few days on the streets, which is so dumb. Like, this is not... No one lives like this, but I was stupid. So she's talking to the other people in this street camp, and this exchange happens. I sat around a pile of burning books. Okay, right out the gate. I don't think I knew what that meant. They needed something to use as firewood, and they didn't have firewood, so I was like, oh, books. It's not like they're Nazis or anything, I swear. They're not burning books to symbolize anything. I see now how that could be perceived very wrong. And I'm very sorry for that. I sat around a pile of burning books, the papers inside them curling up and then floating away into the infinite abyss of space. I wished I could float. I would go far away from here, far away from those sunglassed men, the snake people, from Mom, from these street people even. You sure you don't want any lentils and rice? It's one of the best things I've ever had. I refused Prince's offer again, not looking him in the eye, but again at the spiraling flames. Ebony, he said softly. His voice was calm, compelling, and I was forced to look up into his eyes. Oh boy. They were the same insane blue I'd seen the first day I'd met him. 2 days ago. They looked even better in the firelight, though, almost purple. You can tell us what's going on, you know. I shook my head. You wouldn't get it. This girl is some emo trash, okay? Like, I wish I could spiral into the sky like these little pieces of paper where she looked away. You wouldn't understand. So that's some crazy melodrama right there. Whew. Quick side note, I was told around the time I wrote this book by writers that I needed to describe all 5 senses, which means that I felt the need to describe smell. So several times in the book, I felt the need to show that she was in a positive mood, so I would describe the city as smelling like sugar. Why? I don't know. The second time I described it smelling like chocolate. Why? It makes no sense. I don't know. So this next part happens right before the main character and her boyfriend Jackson are going off to war. I've once again, as I did earlier, felt the need to show that she's in love with this person, even though she has only known him for like, I'd say 3 weeks, and she doesn't even like him very much because he's bland as hell. But still, because I was in 9th grade and thought this is how relationships worked, this is what I wrote. I quote, "Jackson," I said softly, "if you had left me to fall, I would have died, remember? You saved my life, and I love you for that." Is that the only reason? Gosh, no, I said. That's what I wrote. I love you, Jackson, and that's all that matters right now. Bitch, no you don't. This man boring as hell. He has 0 personality. You're so in love with that other dude that you met for 3 days that has a girlfriend. Like, what are you doing? Loving this other guy. Okay, for real though, it's because he dies like 2 chapters later, and I needed her to feel something when he died, and have an extreme reaction to it. So let's go ahead and jump forward to when he does die, because it's very dramatic. And this is a longer one, sorry. I looked at the scene again. For the first time, I saw an unmoving hand hanging out of the tent. It had a silver ring that was slowly melting. Wait, was that Jackson's ring? Then I looked down at the tag on the tent, which was one thing that was not burning. Convenient, am I right? I dropped the bucket, water spilling all over me. I barely noticed as the man screamed at me for not giving it to him first. Instead, I was frozen. The number on the tag was 12. Dun dun dun! Chapter break. Woo! That's Jackson's house number, by the way. But now I looked at Jackson's tent, burning and disintegrating before my eyes. And all of a sudden my vision blurred. I felt something hot spring to my eyes. And I thought it must have been tears. And then the tears, my first tears ever, came running down my cheeks. They came down fast and hard, falling to the ground with little plinks. But I didn't feel any of that. All I felt was the pain in my head, the pain in my mind. Wait for it, the pain in my heart. Oh no. Starkey's voice became distant. Don't die. Yeah, I had like a Primrose moment with this young girl who's like kind of her younger sister figure, telling her, don't die. So here we have her voice distant in the back of the MC's mind, don't die. But what did she know? I needed to apologize now. I needed to say sorry before he died. Girl, he dead. And so I walked toward him, toward the burning tent. My leg hit the fire first, and all my senses became alert. I jumped back, screeching in pain as the fire penetrated my skin. All of a sudden, people were standing over me. Water, now, one screamed. Then tears came to my eyes and I couldn't see them. Okay, we have a lot to talk about here. So I've clearly never seen my boyfriend, who I love so much, die in a tent explosion. So I shouldn't speak on this as if she's overreacting. It's just the way I described it, man. It's not her reaction. It's the fact that there was pain in her head, pain in her heart, pain in her soul. It's just so bad. And the fact that she cries for the, quote, first time ever. I don't know, that just feels a bit weird to me. Like, has she really never cried once in her life? Like, she's had a pretty depressing life. She's an emo kid. And, you know, she was a baby once. She was a toddler. And she's a rich spoiled brat who kind of always gets her way. So it doesn't make sense, the fact that she, quote, never cried. And the fact that it happens now and it dropped to the ground with little plinks. It's just so poorly described. And it really does not do justice to a person who has just lost someone very dear to them. It just doesn't. Instead, it's just so melodramatic. I hate it. So I wrote this book 4 years ago, and the question is, have I improved? The answer is no. I took a writing class this semester, and when I turned in my final project, the feedback I got from the teacher was mostly entirely about my overuse of melodrama, and the fact that everything felt too dramatic. All my descriptions were insane. So, at least in the realm of melodrama, I haven't improved in 4 years. I searched online, and I think the best way to illuminate melodrama is to create subtlety. Leave a lot of the imagining up to the audience. For example, at the beginning when I was describing the pieces of paper floating up to the sky and how she wanted to be as free as those pieces of paper, I didn't need to describe how she wanted to be free like the paper. All I needed to describe was the paper and her feeling sad, and people would have been able to connect the dots that she felt trapped. I really didn't need all of that extra description there. This subtlety also applies to dialogue, as I learned when reading this, and the fact that she was so open with Jackson about, oh, I love you. It just didn't sound real because no one would say it like that. So by taking out the words I love you, especially after 3 weeks, and saying something like, oh, you know, I really care about you, or taking out that altogether and just having her like stroke his hair and, you know, look him deep in the eyes would have been enough. Would have been fine. I don't need to over-explain with my dialogue. And the third thing I realized, this one didn't come from any sources, I just realized that I need more specifics in my writing, because that would have solved the third one I showed you today. In the whole scene with her boyfriend dying, it's so generic. you know, her saying, oh, the pain in my heart, the pain in my head, it's so basic. So if I had described something like, I remembered that ring from the time blah 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 blah, and if I did want her to be an emo child who didn't cry until the end, that's fine, but I really should have described it differently, because with her saying, oh, I'd never cried before, now I was crying, it just doesn't sound right, because she doesn't know what that feeling is like. I needed to describe it more specifically from the way she would see it, because this is a book written from it's first person, it's directly her thoughts. So by describing it as, I was crying, I could feel hot tears on my face, they dropped to the ground, it just doesn't sound like her. And so by using specifics from what she would be thinking, and from imagery I've used elsewhere in the book, that would have tied it together much more nicely and made it sound more authentic and less melodramatic. So I'm sure I'm not the only one with this problem, so if you struggle with this, go to the comments and say so. If you have tips, go to the comments and give those tips. Or if you've made a video or seen a video about melodrama, definitely put it down in the comments, because I am definitely looking for ways to improve this, and I feel like if we support each other, we can figure out how to eliminate melodrama from our stories forever. Thank you guys so much for watching, and tune in next week for another installment of Room for Improvement, in which I'm going to be discussing the problem with having too many characters. Because I've done that in almost every book I've ever written. There have been way too many characters, and I'm finally learning to get it under control. So as usual, subscribe, like, comment, and submit to Reviewing Your Stories Volume 2. You can find all the links to do that in the description below. And until next time, may the gods of plot be ever on your side. Welcome back to Room for Improvement. What am I even saying? I was told around the time that I wrote this by writers that I needed to describe all 6 senses to show what was going on. Oh, I said all 6 senses. Like there are 6 of them. Oh my gosh, there's only 5. Oh my gosh, I'm so stupid.